Good morning. My paper topic is Study of Clinical Outcome of Newborns with Meconium Stained Amniotic Fluid. Meconium aspiration syndrome is respiratory distress in a newborn babies caused by the presence of meconium in tracheobronchial tree. Since when first described by the ancient Greeks to the present day, meconium and its effect on newborn infant has remained an enigma. Famous Greek philosopher Aristotle was the first to describe meconium stained amniotic fluid and named the condition as meconium aerion, which means opium like, as he believed that the substance induced fetal sleep. The most popularly used definition of meconium aspiration syndrome is respiratory distress occurring soon after birth in an infant born from a meconium stained milieu with compatible radiological findings which cannot be otherwise explained. Meconium stained amniotic fluid has long been implicated as a factor influencing fetal well-being during intrapartum and postpartum periods. Although a significant percentage of term births are complicated by passage of meconium before or at delivery, around 10% of those exposed to meconium develop aspiration syndrome. Among that, 10% fetal acidemia is believed to cause increased intestinal peristaltic activity that results in the passage of meconium and fetal gasping, which draws meconium contaminated amniotic fluid deep into lungs. There is an increased admission to neonatal intensive care units of neonates born with MSF when compared to neonates born with amniotic fluid, and also proves that there is strong association between MSAF and fetal distress. In spite of rapid advances in investigative and management modalities, meconium and its effect on the fetus and neonates have over decades remained a cause of worry for intact survival of neonates. To date, debates continue to rage regarding the optimum obstetrical approach, resuscitation measures at birth, and subsequent management of critically ill neonates with meconium aspiration syndrome. Aims and objectives: to study the clinical outcome in the babies born with meconium stained amniotic fluid. Materials and methodology. Study site was GCS Medical College, Hospital and Research Center, Ahmedabad. Study period was for 1 year. The study type was retrospective study. Inclusion criteria: all live birth neonates greater than 37 weeks of gestation born with meconium in amniotic fluid. Exclusion criteria: all live neonates born less than 37 weeks of gestation. Absence of meconium in amniotic fluid. Neonates with congenital anomalies. Neonates with clinically identified chromosomal anomalies. A retrospective review was conducted from January 2019 to December 2019 on newborns with meconium stained amniotic fluid. Data included maternal demographic profile, gestational age, gender, type of delivery, birth weight, consistency of meconium, signs of fetal distress, incidence of MAS, requirement of resuscitation, need of NICU care, various treatment modalities including antibiotics, oxygen supplementation, additional use of surfactant, and types of assisted ventilation. Few important definitions. Thin MSL. Thin meconium was defined as very light greenish staining of amniotic fluid. Thick MSL. Thick greenish meconium with particular matter in amniotic fluid was considered thick meconium. Vigorous MSL baby. MSAF babies cried immediately after birth. Non-vigorous MSL baby. MSAF babies did not cry immediately after birth. Results: there were total deliveries of 1522. Amongst them, meconium stained amniotic fluid were 134, which was 41.8% vaginally delivered and 57.2% were delivered by LSCS. Total NICU admissions were 87. Amongst them, 56 babies had meconium aspiration syndrome and 31 were admitted for observation as their Downey score was greater than 4. Distribution on basis of characteristics. Total meconium stained amniotic fluid babies was 134. Amongst them, 81% were vigorous while 19% were non-vigorous. Amongst the 81% which were vigorous, 74% were thin MSF and 26% were thick MSF. Among the non-vigorous, 29.7% were thin MSF and 70% were thick MSF. Most of the babies were vigorous MSF. Distribution based on gestational age. 2% were preterm, 79% were term, 19% were postterm. Most of the MSAF babies were term or postterm. Preterm babies were less likely to develop MSAF. Distribution on the basis of antenatal risk factors. Risk factors like PIH concluded about 18%, anemia 5%, GDM 1%, and no risk was found in 76% of the antenatal mother. Maternal risk factors were also responsible for MSAF. Among them, most commonly observed were PIH and anemia. Distribution based on type of resuscitation. Routine care 81.3%, 9.7% required initial steps, 5.9% required bag and mask ventilation, 2.9% required bag and tube ventilation. Distribution based on complication. Complications such as PPHN concluded for 2.9%, severe birth asphyxia 2.2%, pneumothorax 1.3%. Most commonly observed complications were persistent pulmonary hypertension of newborn and severe birth asphyxia. Distribution based on outcome. Mean hospitalization stay was 13 days with survival rate of 97.8%. Babies treated with various modalities where assisted ventilation was used in 4 patients, which makes it to 2.98%. Surfactant was required in 2 of the patients, which makes to 1.49%. Mortality was observed in 2.2% of the patients. Discussion. The aspiration of meconium-stained amniotic fluid by fetus can happen during antepartum or intrapartum periods and can result in airway obstruction, interference with alveolar gas exchange, chemical pneumonitis, as well as surfactant dysfunction. These pulmonary effects cause gross ventilation perfusion mismatching. To complicate matters further, many infants with MAS have primary or secondary persistent pulmonary hypertension of newborn as a result of chronic in utero stress and thickening of the pulmonary vessels. Although meconium is sterile, its presence in the air passage can predispose the infant to pulmonary infection. MAS is essentially a clinical diagnosis and should always be suspected in a child with respiratory distress and meconium-stained amniotic fluid at delivery. Though a known entity for a long time, its management still remains contentious. Intubation and direct tracheal suction is performed when meconium is observed in the amniotic fluid and the infant is not vigorous. Subsequent management involves ventilation, surfactant instillation and lavage, inhaled nitric oxide and high frequency ventilation. We have compared our study with 3 other studies. Our study, the sample size was 134. The another study done at Chennai, it had the sample size of 217. Other study in Bengaluru had sample size of 188. And the other study was done at Pakistan, Karachi, had sample size of 149. Prevalence of MS in MSF, our study was 41.7, while in the other study was 32%, while in other study was 33.6%, and while it was 12% in the study of Pakistan. Association with gestational age. All the studies had more term babies rather than preterm babies. Vigorous and non-vigorous MSF. The overall study says that the vigorous babies were more in number. For example, in our study, the vigorous percentage was 81% and non-vigorous was 19%. Whereas the study done in Chennai, vigorous percentage was 78.7, non-vigorous was 21.6. The study done in Bengaluru, vigorous was 82%, non-vigorous was 19%. Whereas the study in Pakistan concluded with vigorous with 78%, non-vigorous with 22%. Association of maternal factors. In our study, PIH followed by anemia were found to be more associated with MS. whereas in other study 19% of had PIH as antenatal risk. In study of Bangalore, there was no significant association found with maternal factors, whereas the study in Pakistan concluded that a maximum association with anemia in pregnancy followed by GDM. Complications in our study were severe birth asphyxia, which was of 2.2%, pneumothorax 0.7%, PPHN which was for 2.9%. While in the study of Chennai, they observed seizure in 32% of the patient, whereas pneumothorax was observed in 4.7% of the patients. In study of Bangalore, the birth asphyxia was seen in 3.8% and PPHN was seen in 3.1%, whereas in Pakistan, birth asphyxia was seen in 4.3% and air leak was seen in 2.4%. There was no mortality noted in studies like Bangalore and Karachi, whereas we noted mortality of 2.2%, whereas the study done in Chennai noted mortality of 9.4%. Conclusion: though well recognized and common problems, MSAF and MS continue to occur with same frequency over years. The management of afflicted neonate with MS is a daunting task requiring critical care support. Several modalities of monitoring and treatment were available, but these are yet to be sustained with quality scientific investigation. Our understanding of this rather complex though common entity is yet incomplete, making it a fertile ground for research. MSF, though a sign of fetal maturity, could in the presence of abnormal CTG and acidemia suggest fetal geopathy. Oropharyngeal suctioning at birth followed by tracheal toileting in depressed and hypotonic babies limit the occurrence and severity of MS. Management modalities in MS include mechanical ventilation, surfactant therapy and other supportive care. For preventing morbidity associated with MS, we need to manage non-vigorous neonates born with MS and prevent birth asphyxia, which is a contributing factor to mortality in these babies. Thus, not only proper antenatal care or neonatal care can give an intact survival of meconium stain aspiration fluid babies, but concise approach of perinatal care required for the same. This is the bibliography. Thank you.